911, what is your emergency?
Guns are a problem, pretty much in any urban environment.
We know that illegal guns create significant harm to the community.
A News 3 investigation is digging deeper into guns recovered throughout Hampton roads, firearms lost, stolen, found in the hands of convicted felons, and even used in crimes.
We know that we, on average, collect a gun a day.
We sat down with chiefs throughout the 7 cities to speak about the issue, including Chesapeake Police Chief Kelvin Wright.
We recover a gun either as a part of a crime or it has been turned over to us through some lawful means.
In data we requested from CPD for 2019, the department recovered 349 firearms. 285 firearms recovered were stolen, and of the total number recovered from convicted felons, 73. Wright tells us there's a rise in vigilance among officers when looking for illegal guns.
When they perform traffic stops, the key is to make sure that when you're looking into a car, that you just don't just focus on the driver, but also look to see if in fact you see a gun that's laying on the seat or laying under the seat. That helps us to determine if in fact guns are being trafficked illegally.
Officers are also preaching safe ownership, Wright adding an issue with guns in his city being some stolen from cars.
They leave their cars unlocked, and someone who's of a particular mind, knowing that someone's going to be away from a car from time, they rummage through the cars and they hit the jackpot.
We have people who do what I call car hopping. They go into a neighborhood and they just try every car door till they find one that's open, and then they rifle through it. And they're looking for quick cash or they're looking for guns.
Terry Salt has been tracking firearms up the peninsula as chief of Hampton Police.
We have cases of community guns where you go into a neighborhood and there's a gun location, there's a stash location for guns, maybe a hole or under a stump or something like that, and all the people in the neighborhood know where it is and they need a gun, they go get it.
In the same year, Hampton Police traced 376 firearms. Not all traced were used in a crime. Of those traced, 206 were reported stolen. 109 firearms were recovered, 88 from convicted felons. HPD, like other local departments, used the ATF's E-Trace system when tracking firearms.
The gun tells the story. It's kind of like in a lot of cases you follow the cash. Here we've tried to follow the gun.
He says they partnered with other local police to use what's called the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, or NIBIN system.
Every location where we have shots fired and we see shell casings, or if we seize a firearm, we test those and enter those into the NIBIN system. With this partnership, we can turn that around in 24 to 72 hours max. And that is a very key element, because what we're trying to put together is a pattern of life of that firearm.
An example, a shooting in September 2019 involving 3 juveniles at an apartment complex. Officers tell us during a search of the unit the 3 went to, a 9mm handgun was found concealed under a couch, later identified through NIBIN as being fired at the time of the shooting. One of the victims, a 14-year-old boy, admitted to the firearm previously while being treated at a hospital and was charged with possession of a firearm by a juvenile. Officers say the firearm in question was believed to have been stolen from a vehicle in the city in May 2016.
We have to work together. The community is the latchkey. The community is the ones that pull this whole thing together.
Overall, Salt says collaboration with local and federal agencies is key, as well as intervention and providing opportunities to steer young people away from crime.
There are no winners in a shooting. I don't care what side of the event you're on, whether it's a suspect's family or whether it's a victim's family, everyone is devastated.
But Chesapeake and Hampton aren't the only ones tracking firearms in Hampton roads. When we return,
we wanted to create a picture so we could take the guesswork out.
And tonight at 11, reporter Zach Dahlheimer reveals a closer look at how Norfolk police are tracking guns in Hampton roads, and hear from its chief on a project spanning many years digging deeper into this issue.
I think the way to address gun violence, first you have to bring awareness.
A message from Norfolk Police Chief Larry Boone. Boone has spent years researching with his department, working to get answers on guns.
I have no problem with folks exercising their right to bear arms. My challenge is, how do we keep those arms from getting in the hands of people that should not have them?
NPD is in its 4th year of tracking the history of forfeited guns, either that have been found or used in the commission of a crime.
Historically, in the Norfolk Police Department, if there was a crime, let's say robbery, okay, we made the arrest of the suspect, we recovered the weapon, we would historically just place the weapon in abeyance, put it on a voucher, never to look at it. We had no background on the gun itself. I didn't think that was very strategic. We wanted to create a picture so we could take the guesswork out. It's given us an idea of what's going on as it relates to gun violence, as it relates to who's buying the guns, as it relates to where the guns ultimately end up.
Let's dive into data we got from MPD for 2019. According to their report, 791 firearms were recovered or traced. Of that, 73 were reported stolen.
What stood out the most was the cluster of guns that were located in our challenging communities.
But their research goes further, looking at age, race, and sex. Norfolk Police's research also looks at guns traced to incidents and felons. For example, of 496 firearms recovered from individuals in 2019, 52 of them were involved in shooting-related incidents. Of those 52, 23 were recovered from felons.
Guns are going to fall in 3 categories. Guns was lost, the gun was stolen, or straw purchase.
We asked Boone about straw purchasing.
Let's say Joe Smith is a convicted felon. He's not able to purchase a gun legally. He'll go get a cousin or a relative that's never been convicted of a felon, that's in good standing in society, and that person will purchase the gun for him.
Boone also touched on recent legislation signed into law in 2020, including required reporting of lost or stolen guns to law enforcement.
With the legislation in place, we hope that, one, it will change behavior. And if it changes behavior, it will hopefully reduce folks from getting guns that shouldn't have them in the first place.
His department has also been vocal on social media, posting stats related to this information.
I think when you paint a picture that's undeniable from the start to the end of the gun recovery or the arrest, and you are able to see without question where the gun was purchased, where it was ultimately recovered, and who was in possession of it. Okay, there's a problem, and that problem requires the entire community to address.
He hopes this type of research will be picked up by other departments around the Commonwealth.
When we collectively as a whole throughout the state have some of the same data that says some of the same thing, everybody can't be wrong.
Is this something that Chesapeake would consider possibly taking on yourselves, or maybe collaborating with Norfolk on about this?
Absolutely. We were simply amazed by the level of detail and, of course, the information that came from that. And we were wondering if similar conditions exist with us as well.
The ideal goal at the end of all this is hopefully that violent crime will be reduced.
We've also reached out to the other departments across Hampton Roads requesting similar data. We'll keep you posted if we get that information. In the meantime, the data we got from all 3 departments taking part goes back to 2017. You can find all that information right now at WTKR.com. I'm Zach Dahlheimer for News 3.